Hello there, welcome to Stride's Talking Points. Today I'm going to start kind of getting into learning about the upcoming Democratic candidates for the presidency in 2020. The first one that's really broke out in the last day or two is Kamala Harris, and this is just my breakdown of current views on her and what's kind of being said and her policies as of day 2 of her announcement. Here we go. It's Kamala's race right now. This is from CNN. They recently did the CNN town hall, Des Moines, Iowa, with her, and they kind of go into it. And this is already going to be approached as kind of a man versus woman thing. I would like to play this brief clip
of defeating Donald Trump. Some have also said that, given what occurred in 2016 and the current political climate, that a male nominee will have a better chance this time around than a female nominee. Would you please respond to this so that this man has a response ready the next time a man tries to mansplain why a man would make a better nominee?
No, that was all done for humor. That gentleman there, if you watch the beginning of the clip, is some kind of a playwright of some sort.
Senator, many Democrats that I've spoken with agree
playwright and composer.
That the nominee.
Laugh, laugh, laugh. Laugh, 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 clap. She's standing clapping because this is a question they need to have asked.
Well, my first response, Robert, is this, which is that the person who presented that point really is not giving the American voters enough credit. They're smarter than that. The people who vote, the people who live in this country are smarter than that. They're going to make decisions based on who they believe is the best leader. They're going to make decisions based on who they believe is speaking truth, who is doing it in a way that gives people dignity, doing it in a way that elevates public discourse as opposed to bringing us to the lowest common denominator and base instincts. That's how the voters are going to vote, and that is going to be the basis upon who will win. And as far as I'm concerned, listen, I mean, in my entire career, I've heard people say, when I ran and ran as the first woman who would win, it's not, people aren't ready, it's not your time, nobody like you has done that before. I haven't listened, and I would suggest that nobody should listen to that kind of conversation.
Okay, so he asked basically a teed-up question for her there, used mansplaining, used all the other stuff that you see from the far right white liberal. This man is probably a extreme person of white guilt, and he teed up a question for her, and honestly, there's no real answer there. When you use the word mansplaining, I don't know how you can get a real answer. I did, however, like the part where she talked about trying to elevate the conversation. However, most of the discussion there seemed to cycle around emotional types deals, of which is always something candidates try and do, and generally you don't really get the feel for it after a while. Kamala Harris has an extreme idea to get gun control legislation passed, and called out Congress for lack of gun control legislation. Now, in the U.S., there's this huge belief that we have an unbelievably high gun crime rate and murder rate, and in all studies, this is generally found to be untrue. There are approximately 40,000 gun deaths in the U.S., 60% of which are suicides. And we always talk about the rash and massive amount of school shootings, of which in 2018, I believe there were 27 school deaths of school-aged children shot and killed. Now, every one of those is horrible. However, over the course of the U.S. population of some 320 million people, that is a tiny percentage. Senator Harris became even more passionate while discussing an action by Congress following the 2012 Sandy Hook elementary school shooting that took the lives of 20 children between the ages of 6 and 7. I think somebody should have required all the members of Congress to go in a locked room, no press, no one else, and look at autopsy photographs of those babies, and then vote your conscience. Now, I've already seen the flip side of this, where numerous people have came out and said, I think somebody should have required all the members of Congress to go in a room and look at the 1 million plus pictures of aborted children that go through every year and vote their conscience. It is very difficult to try and legislate morality or even enforce morality. It's very difficult in any way to kind of hold that line. That's just one of those things. Kamala's speech on gun violence. It's just, I don't see where that can go anywhere. All in all, trying to use that because you're going to see that same argument flipped on her, and 20 children a year, or even the wouldn't quite be 10,000 adults murdered. No, closer to 20,000 adults dying every year from non-self-inflicted guns. So that argument will be flipped, and she'll immediately have to talk about the million of pictures a year of aborted children. So I don't see that going anywhere. CNN, the Harris Town Hall, the most viewed event of its kind. I could see that. She is the town hall average of 1.9 million. 1.957 million viewers, the most any cable single candidate hall, 75% more than CNN's average over the past 4 weeks, according to CNN. It was a big deal. I've tried to catch up and watch a lot of it. It does seem like right now, with her announcing early, I got to tell you, I was not impressed at all by the way that Elizabeth Warren announced hers, and I think Kamala did a better job doing it in the town square, doing it, going big with it. Go big or go home. Asked if a woman can beat Trump in 2020. That is the big question. Right now, with her personal politics, going back to the gun thing, she has already stated she would like to ban all semi-automatic weapons. Now, if most people that don't own guns do not understand that a semi-automatic weapon is pretty much every pistol out there. It is just about every single type of rifle on the market, and it is also most shotguns are pump action. There are a lot of semi-automatic shotguns out there people use for hunting, and that she's just that's ban pretty much every gun in the U.S., and there are 100 million plus, and I don't see where that's going to get her a lot of leeway. She was also discussing in her, a young woman stood up and identified herself as an undocumented immigrant who was brought to the U.S. as a child and was sick of seeing her life used as a political football. Harris commented on her courage and then continued, "I will say to you that I stand with you. There are so many who do, and we should not be trading your life for the sake of political games." Now, the government has been trading these dreamers, let's just refer to them as that, as a political football for the last several years. They have not been trying to do any specific legislation to them as part of any compromise. It is either no compromise and no action. Defer, kicking the ball down the road. We're already starting to see this. Medicare for all. Under Medicare, she is vowing to basically destroy the current private medical insurance, which will also put everyone into a single national health care plan. Yes, we're going to get rid of the entire healthcare industry. That's a feature, not a bug. Let's eliminate all of that and move on. Let's eliminate all of that. Let's move on. Currently, the U.S. economy, about 20% of the economy is some way fashioned around the healthcare industry, insurance, medical anything. I mean, everything from sales and service to treatment and prescriptions. And she's just going to hit a wrecking ball through the whole thing and change it all. Now, as an end to private insurance, it'll essentially also be an end of private hospitals and specialization. Everything will go down to a government-mandated plan. And if you think that most of the industry is better off after the Obamacare era stuff, then you really haven't looked that much into healthcare. It is going to be a massive issue. And if you have a disagreement there, please comment below. I would like to read your opinions. Again, the whole idea of locking them in a room, and this would be very disturbing, especially if it was flipped on them. And now you start to see the Kamala Harris, her history is coming under scrutiny. One of the things that you have to understand about modern politics is there is no real build period. It is tear, 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 attack, attack, attack. AOC is seeing this. Trump has been going through this since before his election and still going to this day. And now you're starting to see him come after the intersectional group, the people that are the Democrats running for it. Complicated history. The latest candidate to join the race, but she's also been criticized for not going far enough. Made waves after putting her state out of national negotiation with the banks, later negotiating $25 billion settlement for foreclosed households. Her refusal to prosecute One West Bank's then CEO Steve Mnuchin for mortgage fraud. And you're going to see here they go through. She has a complicated past in all ways. This is not one of those things where you're going to see it be clean, but you are going to see a lot of stuff that she actually did, said, and enforced coming back. Kamala Harris' history of jailing parents for truancy. I've read a lot about this. Most states require a social worker to make these kinds of decisions and go from there, but her, as the attorney, just went straight after it. Yeah. You can keep your plan, your car. Yeah, this is the joke, and this is, you can't keep your plan, referring to health care. Your car is banned, referring to the Green New Deal. If your kids miss class, I'm sending you to jail. Now, they left out the part where banning pretty much every firearm possible. So as far as she goes, she will have no appeal on the other side. There won't be any of the people who are Republicans who look for more conservative styles. She's not going to appeal to them in any way, shape, or form, even less than Hillary did as well. The Washington Monthly and the New York Times have both gone after her history as a progressive prosecutor and attorney general. A lot of these things don't look good as far as what she's did. Term progressive prosecutor has almost become trendy. This is how described herself, but she is not. There's actually a large ruling in 2010 about her violating the U.S. Constitution as a prosecutor on basically failing to provide information about lab technicians' criminal past to defense attorneys. It's a violation of the Constitution. She is not clean of scandal, corruption, or anything. She is actually just the standard politician who has risen high on intersectionality, and I don't know if she'll crash and burn or not. However, like I said, with a lot of her stuff, it's going to be very difficult to get her through. Oh, and I forgot to touch on the Green New Deal. So let's see here. She has fully endorsed the Green New Deal, and I thought I had the link open. Medicare for All. If you go into the cost of this thing, it is immense. That's in the $20 billion range. Back here, now we're going to go through this real quick. Supports the Green New Deal. This is essentially moving away from all fossil fuels, any carbon producing type of industry will be shut down, moved out, and gotten rid of. This is something coming from, I believe, AOC, as she is trying to put it forward, and this is something you're starting to see. Green New Deal, AOC, there it is, aims to create a select committee of House members that would have the authority to develop detailed national industrial economic mobilization plan to allow the U.S. to become carbon neutral and promote economic and environmental justice and equality. The word equality and social justice, environmental justice, these things are all coming into play, and they're going to be the downfall of actual compromising politics. Because if you are fighting for justice, then anyone who is not with you must be fighting for evil. This is something that is just going to destroy American politics even more than we've already fallen apart now. Yeah, no, and if you start removing all carbon-based fuels, all oil, gas, coal, these things will be very difficult to replace, meaning you won't be allowed to own your car that you currently have now. So if you've recently purchased a car and you cannot fully rely on public transportation, which is anyone not living in a major metropolitan area, that's it. You've lost your vehicle. You've lost most of your forms of transportation. And they see this as the existential crisis of our day. AOC, who won her election by midterming the person she beat and then claimed she won the election up until the election actually happened, this is just not something I see being able to happen. We need those jobs created and be fulfilled because we need dedicated to that kind of work. And there's a Green New Deal has to include solar panels, wind turbines, service technicians. Again, I don't see how the Green New Deal will work. I don't see how Medicaid for all will work. Please comment below so I can kind of get your thoughts. I would really like to know how you feel about Kamala Harris and her policies and moving forward with her. Thank you, and hope you have a great day. Bye.